Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be testing a new bullet in this 308 at 125 grain. It's called the Sierra Tipped GameKing or Game Changer. All you have to do is go to their website and you can see the confusion. Now I'm going to be testing these directly against a previous load that I've already worked up, and that is the Nosler Ballistic Tip of the same grain weight, 125 grains. Target set up at 100 yards. Let's get to shooting. Now, I never believed that somebody ought to take shortcut when they are working up a load, but sometimes when all you're doing is changing just one component, you can go back on your previous testing and go ahead and validate the new process. In this particular case, it's only a bullet change. It's the same weight, but the cases are the same, the powder's the same, the primer's the same, and the rifle is the same. So from there, I'm using what's called the economy of effort rather than to start from scratch and go all the way from the beginning. Now there's nothing wrong with that, but in this day and age of high inflation, shortage of materials, etc., you need to kind of find out what works for you very well as far as economy as effort, because really all we're after is what happens on the target and what happens in terminal performance on the animal that we intend to hunt. Alright, so if you look up here, here's the two bullets that I'll be testing today. Now the Nosler Ballistic Tip is the one with the boat tail. Both of these bullets have green tips, so they're sort of indistinguishable. But the Sierra Tipped GameKing is a flat base bullet. So there is going to be a little bit of a performance difference, but we're going to find out whether or not there's a point of impact difference, whether or not there's a velocity difference, a standard deviation, extreme spread. So let me go down and turn on the camera down there, hook up the chronograph, I'll give you the numbers, and let's go ahead and find out if the validation process works. Okay, just a slight correction here. On these Noslers that I'll be shooting, that was with varget powder, a load that I've already worked up. For the Sierras, I'm going to be using benchmark powder because there's less pressure, etc., and I'm basically starting with what had worked for the Nosler Ballistic Tip. So I'm going to record the data, so if you see a big change or any change really in velocity, know that it is not just the bullet, but it could be the powder. Although the powder charges are not worked up, they are on previous loads that I already have experience with that work quite kind of well. But we're going to test that right now and validate it. This video may go to crap, but we're going to see. Okay, just so you know about this rifle, this is my Savage Model 10 FCPK. I put an Oryx chassis on here. I call it Old Clunky because it has absolutely the worst action I've ever experienced on a rifle. It's just stiff, but it shoots good. Alright, so let's go ahead and plug the chronograph in, get shooting. Alright, first shot with the Nosler with varget powder. Okay, that went low and to the right. That speed was 38.82. Let's just see if that was a cold, clean bore or whether or not it groups right there. I should have dry fired that first trigger pull. I forgot how light this trigger is. Looks like it's okay. 31.24. Kind of a big jump there. Alright, let's see where this one goes. looks like a pretty good little group there. 3133. Okay, well, let's switch on over to the Sierra Tipped GameKings. Let's see how they shoot. I'll mark that target, reset everything. Let's get going. Okay, now the Sierra Tipped GameKings. As stated, there is a two-component change, not only the bullet, but also the powder, which is benchmark powder. Now, benchmark worked really well with the Nosler Ballistic Tips, and the reason why I chose to test it instead of Varget is simply because it was a much tamer or lower velocity type of round that showed absolutely no pressure signs, but worked well with the ballistic tip, so it should work well with the Sierras, but that's why we're here testing. So let's go ahead and see if that's the truth. All right. All right, here we go. Same target. .3089 looked like the point of impact is about the same with the Nosler Ballistic Tips. How about that? Well, let's see if it groups. If it's just me, I'll attempt to shoot a 5-shot group instead of a 3 with these, because again, I am validating. All right, here we go. .3103. All right, take my time, relax, breathe, try to get your heartbeat calmed down so that your reticle doesn't jump. You're not muscling the rifle, you're just letting it do what it should do. Okay, let's go take a look at that target. Well, I apologize for the fact that the camera wasn't down there for the Sierra Tipped GameKings to record, but I'll show you the target here in a second. I'm really quite pleased. Sometimes things just happen. If you don't believe, try to do these videos yourself. Sometimes equipment does fail. All right, well, let's go ahead and look at that target and sum this whole chapter up based upon economy of effort to achieve similar results, and today I was able to do that in 8 shots, 3 of the Nosler Ballistic Tip and 5 of the Sierra Tipped GameKings, and pretty well pleased. All that's needed now is just a scope adjustment for point of aim, point of impact to be dead center. All right, let's go over that target. Okay, here you go. Pretty well pleased. Here's that first 3 shots with the Nosler Ballistic Tip. That measured out to be .565 for a 3-shot group, an average of 3,113. Then 5 of the Sierra Tipped GameKings measured out to .678. You can see a pretty good little cluster right here with 1 shot up here, which increased the size of that group to .678. And the velocity was a little bit lower, but with benchmark powder, that has always been sort of my experience. 3,071 feet per second for that 125 grain. All right, folks, well, I'm real pleased because now I can use these loads interchangeably with both of those bullets and both of those powders with very little change and without having to go through a drastic workup. Alright, so if you enjoyed this, folks, go ahead and give me a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe. Leave a comment if you will. But no matter what, God bless y'all. See you again next time. Goodbye.